Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to today's Quran study. We'll be reading from Surah 15, starting at verse 74. Let's all seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. 74. We turned it upside down and showered them with devastating rocks. This is a lesson for those who possess intelligence. This will always be the system. This is a sign for the believers. The last study, this is where it's picking up from in Surah 15, talking about the people of Lot who were annihilated. We know their history, Sodom and Gomorrah. They were evildoers and they're very wicked. And we can see that, and they also possessed, a lot of might and power, as we know, because each um, subsequent generation wasn't as powerful as the preceding ones. And this was also set up as an example for the future generations, just by pure, like basic analysis and logic that, while these people were wiped out, they had a messenger go to them with proofs and also warnings or just signs or inviting them to be righteous and follow the path of God, their creator. And when they disregarded it, they were wiped out. And, even the subsequent generations after them also knew about their history, because we can see some of their responses, how they said this was just limited to their ancestors, but the retribution won't afflict them. But we can see in every single case with these communities, and it still is the case, there's been a bit more time, uh, technically speaking, like with today, and we know, like with the judgment and the retribution that's going to befall the Arabs, and really, all of the people um, who mocked, the messenger and mocked this God's revelations are going to be wiped out one way or another. And we still have these selective annihilations today, as we see, like with the AIDS virus. How because you can't just wipe out an entire community nowadays, because there's a lot more people. There's a lot of good people, and different cities and various regions. So, but this is how their punishment comes. So this is as verse 77 says, this is a sign for the believers. So we should rest assured and trust and rejoice in the fact that there's going to be justice, and not in the sense, where we're like earning or yearning to see the retribution, like we have the verse that says, don't be in a hurry to see it. But, we know that the angels are recording all these people and these individuals, and God is fully aware of these people's schemes, especially, the schemes on a global scale today. So even if they have a temporary upper hand, we can see from this mathematically coded book, revelation from God, that they're doomed to fail one way or another. 78. The people of the woods were also transgressors. Consequently, we avenged from them, and both communities are fully documented. The people of Al Hijr disbelieved the messengers. We gave them our revelations, but they disregarded them. They used to carve secure homes out of the mountains. The disaster hit them in the morning. What they ordered did not help them. So we can see these people as well. I'm not sure if these are the same people of Al Rus, but nonetheless, these were transgressors. and both communities are fully documented. But they all had messengers go to them. I mean, even the world today, doesn't really have an excuse for disregarding. I mean, we know the Arabs openly mocked and disregarded and ridiculed the messenger, God's revelations, the miracle, and the prophecies. I mean, they have uh, like uh, like tenfold the punishment coming to them for all of those things. But I mean, even as a nation, I mean, people still have been oblivious to God's message. The idol worship is more rampant today and more just outrageous, today than ever before. Not just with Islam, but also Christianity. Like these um, word of faith movements and declaration. It's gotten very extreme, and I mean, there's always been extremists in all these religions. But I mean, personally, we can say we've all witnessed these things. So, and then not just within these religions, but also people just um, idolizing other things than God or prophets or saints or any of these things. Whether it's money, property, wealth. So we can see that they've it makes sense why the smoke is coming specifically for the Arabs, but also it's going to affect the whole world, and also so it's a way to also get, God willing, is going to get people's attention that have been oblivious, just like Surah 44 says. And, we also see in the 82, they used to carve secure homes out of the mountains. So, regardless of what these people prepare, or what type of fortifications or structures they have to, let's say, stop a nuclear bomb or something from coming and getting them, somehow they're still gonna be annihilated. And even their hoardings and their stockpiling of these provisions and whatever else they thought may add or aid to them surviving didn't help them in the least. So these are good lessons for people to look at and reflect upon. But obviously, if the disbelievers aren't gonna do so, and that's why we see in the preceding verse how it says this is a sign for the believers, because we believe in this, we know, but the disbelievers aren't gonna appreciate this information. Verse 85, end of the world unveiled. Excuse me. We did not create the heavens and the earth and everything between them except for a specific purpose. The end of the world will come, so treat them with benign neglect. Your Lord is the Creator, the Omniscient. We have given you the 7 pairs in the Great Quran. Do not be jealous. Verse 88, this footnote. So it says, one of the functions of God's messengers of the covenant is to deliver the Quranic assertion that the world will end in AD 2280. And we can see in verse 15 of Surah 20 and verse 27 of Surah 72 and Appendix 25. So, this is a fact, and this is told to us by God. And this book is from God, and we have the proof and authenticity that it's from God, and we have a verified messenger. I mean, having this Quran and the miracle is like, in a way, it's like it's like a dream come true, if this makes sense, because you know how people are searching, for the right religion, searching for the right path, or they're turning to all types of different uh, just paths, and they're not of God, right? But they're searching and they're turning to all different philosophies or words and doctrines that are from humans, and whether these humans claim to have inspiration from God or not is a whole other issue. But we actually have the truth, and when I say we, like we meaning submitters, we believe in it, but we also means like the entire world has this, but as we can see, most people um, have disregarded and turned oblivious. And I don't think it's so much a matter of the fact that okay, people haven't come across it. Yeah, that's one thing, but I mean the internet, the way we found submission, these people really don't have any excuse. And on another point, I mean, even people we've given the message to and we've explained the miracle to in different ways or different approaches, different angles, and they don't seem to care. So I mean, we can assume this is the case. This probably is going to be the same case with the rest of the world's population, who hasn't become submitters yet, at least before the smoke. So if someone is really this shows us most people are not seeking, right? Because if someone was really seeking the right path, they would somehow God would help them. They could do an internet search or something. This is just one of the many examples, and they could come across submission.ws, or they could find YouTube, um, recitations of the Quran. They could come across, anything. But we also see this is the case with a lot of people, and then they reject it, or they get they get mad, or they become disturbed at the information, and they become really disturbed at God alone. So like the truth of God alone, meaning like they don't like. So we can see, um, like we're really blessed to believe in this. This was one of the functions of God's messenger of the covenant to unveil the end of the world. So backtracking to what I was saying earlier, we have the proven scripture, and we also see in verse 87 how Muhammad was given the seven pairs, meaning the 14 sets of the initials that constitute the Quran's mathematical miracle of 19. I mean, it's so powerful and so great, and it literally it is perfect. It all like falls into place perfectly. Like like the messenger, one of the examples he gave, it's like a giant Rubik's cube. Like it's because you also have the literary composition with the words, the letters. But you also have the mathematical structure, the numerical or mathematical. Um, I think you might have said numerical composition, but there's two, because then you have just the surah numbers and verse numbers, and this is also intertwined and interfaced with the literary portion, and each, I mean, it's so immense, so it's both a miracle um, on each facet in of itself, and it's a book that is perfectly consistent, and it points out both paths, as the verses say, to heaven and to hell. So this is like, to have this information and know why we're here. I mean, this is what you can see. I guess I said earlier what most people are seeking. They're seeking the path, some type of truth, but we're extremely fortunate to have this. It's like a dream come true, because at some point that's what got us here. We were probably we knew the path we were on wasn't working. It wasn't, and we were still seeking, and God helped us. Praise be to God. And verse 88 says, "Do not be jealous of what we bestowed upon the other messengers. And do not be saddened by the disbelievers, and lower your wing for the believers, and proclaim, I am the manifest warner. So 88 also, um, I guess it can refer to God's messenger, the covenant for sure, and Muhammad, and um, but yeah, each messenger has a. If we read the preceding verse about the seven pairs, which are the 14 initials, mashallah, and Muhammad was given the great Quran. It was is a miracle in of itself, as it's told in Surah 50Q in the glorious Quran, I think Majid, and that Majid is in the Quran 57 times. And this is also just one aspect of the miracle. If we go look at Q, Surah 50, and I think it's Surah 42, and then the surahs and verses. This was designed by God, and the Quran is glorious. Verse 90. So yeah, I did read verse 89. And yeah, just real quick, all the messengers and prophets were manifest warners. They're also bearers of good news and to deliver good news, but they also served as warners. So it was, on both ends of the spectrum, deliver good news, about returning to God, and how God willing, like there's heaven and hell, and there's good news. Your heaven can start here, and as we know, like with this information, with the messenger of the covenant, um, I'm not sure if they had that back then, but there's a lot of new information that the messenger brought, as well as the manifest warner. So also, about the greater retribution in the hereafter, warning the people of a day that's so heavy. Even if we try to imagine it, and I don't think we should even try to imagine what it would be like. But even if we maybe want to fathom, we can't even come close to it, not even in our wildest imagination. But we're told about, like we're given things that happen, like an infant's hair turning gray, a mother, uh, basic, I forget, discarding her baby, that's nursing. Like what, we know like the attachment and bond and love that um, a mother has in this, and we can see these examples in this life. And for like, she would also be willing to like die for her baby, right? And the fact that, especially in such an intimate and loving act, and the way God designed us, and how babies are fed and stuff, and all these other things. But the fact that, uh, like on this day, the mother would just discard this, is something. Also, the I think also, yeah, something with the whatever's in the womb or something might become aborted. It's so heavy. And so this is, these people are really getting a really great heads up. Everybody is, about um, the messengers, and proclaiming that they're warners, but we can see most people either take it for granted, or they're just happy with what they have in this worldly life, or they just continue to blunder and ignore the signs and the seriousness. Like, this life isn't to play around and hoop-de-doo and, start a family, make money. Like, this is what, I hear people talk about, or like the highest form of, you can see on interviews just with different people, whether they're a singer, celebrity, or just things and quotes they said. They said, life is about family. Like, that's a very common one, so because they don't know why they're here. That's why a lot of people are confused, and their priorities are wrong, because they don't know that this life is not what it seems. Like it's an illusion. And um, so this is a huge blessing to and beacon to have this. You know. Okay, verse 90. We will deal with the dividers. They accept the Quran only partially. By your Lord, we will question them all about everything they have done, and therefore carry out the orders given to you and disregard the idol worshippers. We will spare you the mockers who set up another God beside God. They will surely find out. We know full well that you may be annoyed by their utterances. You shall sing the praises of your Lord and be with the prostrators and worship your Lord in order to attain certainty. So panel is some really good stuff to talk about and unpack here, but let's start with the footnote just in case, so I don't forget. So this is the footnote for the final verse in this chapter, verse 99. The practices of worship are our means of attaining certainty. So this is how we get to certainty. You know, the more we grow our soul, and the more we remember God and perform our worship practices like the contact prayers, the zakah, obligatory to zakah, and there's also the general zakah too, and then the fasting, and then eventually at some point Hajj. But not just these, there's a lot of other ways to nourish our soul through the day. As we can see from verse 98 about singing the praises of your Lord and being with the prostrators, so meditating during the day or during the night. And we have, especially nowadays, like we have a lot of ways and means to strive in the cause of God and nourish our souls and be happy, remembering God, like with the music and all these other things and these provisions. And we can see, at the same time, how most people are harming themselves because they're using these blessings, these tools, whether it's whatever the tool could be, a phone or software or a program, etc. I mean, the list goes on. They're using it for nonsense or bad music, listening just to bad things, singing about, of course, like in days of ignorance, we've all made those mistakes and stuff, but this is part of the way the test functioned, like how how whether people will use their provisions to seek the abode of the hereafter, as we know in other parts of the Quran, this is what we should do, or people use it to steal from one another, or to hurt one another, or just to completely be oblivious and continue in the worldly life. But backing up to verse 91, they accept or verse 90 where we picked up off of, the dividers. So these are the people. The people who are dividers are those who accept the Quran only partially. And even if somebody says they don't accept, like even if somebody tells you, like, no, we believe in the Quran, we love the Quran, we love what God sent down, you can take them at, you can believe them, but once they prove you otherwise by their actions, despite what they say, they're a divider. And I mean, at this point, they must be a hypocrite too, because they accept other sources other than the Quran, and they fabricate other things. I mean, we can see that this has even made its way into submission. How people come up with these, get these wild hairs, but they get these, they get, these wild ideas and stuff, and then they just run with it. And I think It's just unfortunate for these people because they're also, the more people that they divide and lead astray, they're gonna have to account for those. They're gonna be accountable for those sins, and the people that go astray aren't, also getting like they're not passing like when the Quran says, they'll be responsible for their sins, meaning uh, meaning they'll have to incur the punishment for all the people that they've led astray, due to their arrogance. But it doesn't mean that the people led astray won't face the consequences of their own sin. So everybody, you can't bear the weight or bear the load of each other's sin, but you will, people who, and it's the other way around too, people who strive in the cause of God, make avenues or ways for the message to be spread and promote the truth. They don't compromise, they don't deviate, and they stick to it and persevere through it. And by virtue, this helps others, especially that are newer to submission, haven't been in submission as long, still understanding, and it strengthens others. And they also get the reward and the credit thereof. So um, this is part of the system. But we can see that God is fully aware of these people, and the angels, and so we will deal with the dividers. It says, um, and by your Lord we will question them all about everything that they've done. Um, Also, I like the part, the verse where it says, we disregard the idol worshippers and and the mockers and who set up another god beside God, they will surely find out. Even if they're mocking in their head and stuff, and you share something or you correct somebody quietly or publicly or whatever it is. Like just the last couple days, it was uh, I guess from like the acquaintances and friends I have and upbringing and stuff. To see a lot of like Jesus praising and stuff. So like I was in, I guess I saw something and I saw something again calling him king, and it was just like, okay. So I shared something about, mashallah, it was good timing, about, it was online about how Jesus will disown these people, who call him Lord. And, I mean, these people, because you hear that, how they talk about other people who aren't in the same belief and bracket as them. And so, you understand these people the way they think. You've known them, and now that you don't idol worship like they do, you can assume that. But it doesn't. It doesn't. It's not supposed to bother us. We don't care what these people think, but most of these people do care about what others think, and given the social pressure, and but like they'll end up cursing each other on the day of resurrection, and they'll be the worst losers in the worst positions. And verse 97, um, about, yeah, I mean, this, I'm sure this has happened to us, and it's also important not to let it get to us. You know, uh, like, but it's kind of like, when you see somebody lying about, let's say, your best friend, you're gonna get pretty upset, like on behalf of your friend, and also the way they say it. Maybe some things like you might not get as annoyed or or upset, but then you see it repeating, or you see like it said in a very disturbing way, but it is comforting that God, and also the angels, because it says they understand, like, how humans work, and maybe as we're not as patient, and maybe as strong, and as we would like to be, right? But this is what, hence the importance of growing our soul, um, and to, as we read, we do our part, we carry out the orders given to us, we strive and steadfastly persevere and disregard these people. Um, And most importantly, 98 and 99, as we talked about earlier, we will zikr and praising God. This is really really great. It's a great gift to be able to do these things because our time is so limited, and uh, the hereafter is the real life. Okay, so I'll kind of speed up here because I think we have about 10 minutes left. Surah 16, to be out now in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. God's command has already been issued and everything has already been written, so do not rush it. Be He glorified, the Most High, far above any idols they set up. So the footnote for this, everything is already recorded, and this is also seen in Surah 57, Iron, verse 22. And then also, you can also see Appendix 14. SubhanAllah, it's hard to wrap our head around. I mean, really, it's amazing, too, but invokes like a very strong sense of reverence to God, because I mean, this is what makes God so great and so awesome, and I mean, even like unfathomably majestic and powerful and wise, and all the good great names that belong to Him. As we know, to God belongs the most beautiful names. Verse 2, He sends down the angels with the revelations, carrying His commands to whomever He chooses from among His servants. You shall preach that there is no other God beside me. You shall reverence me. So this is what we're supposed to proclaim for the people and preach for really the world. He created the heavens and the earth for a specific purpose. He is much too high, far above any idols they set up. He created the human from a tiny drop. Then He turns into an ardent opponent. So in a way, the human being, I mean, those who oppose God, I mean, are ardent opponents in this sense, but, this, how most humans are transgressors, and, I mean, also, opponents of each other. There's the believer and the disbeliever. So you can say, like, for that time being, as long as they remain a disbeliever, they're they're an opponent to the truth. And He created the livestock for you to provide you with warmth and many other benefits, as well as food. They also provide you with luxury during your leisure and when you travel. God's blessings. And they carry your loads to lands that you cannot reach without a great hardship. Surely your Lord is compassionate, most merciful. And He created the horses, the mules, and the donkeys for you to ride and for luxury. Additionally, He creates what you do not know. So this is really a huge blessing, because just imagine for a moment, or maybe several moments, like we were on, like Neptune or something, like or Uranus, which is an ice giant, and it's let's just say we had to wear these special suits all the time to be able to withstand the cold, and we were probably still a little cold anyway, but we didn't die from it. And then we didn't have any of these animals or donkeys or like we have today, these electric motorized animals. And I'm just kidding. But in a way, like they talk about horsepower, right? On these motors and engines, and so this is it's interesting how we're still using horsepower, right? Because these are just advancements, but God has subdued these things for us, like the internal combustion engine, the diesel engine, the electric. Now we have electric vehicles that are awesome. They don't put out the same fumes and stuff as these other vehicles. They work differently, they each, some people may have different preferences, but they're all extreme blessings from God, and this is also something to be appreciative for, because like the amount of like power that's contained and subdued inside like a internal combustion engine, and the pistons and cylinders is very great. I mean, under thousands of pounds of pressure, and it's contained and it works perfectly. This is like the physics that God has designed. I mean, same thing with, as we see with electric vehicles, which are pretty advanced. And now we have self-driving vehicles, which is easy. I mean, imagine that. Like, imagine you go back and then, like the people who are grateful for horses and mules and donkeys and all these other things that carry their provisions, and you tell them, well, what if you didn't have to do anything? Your horse just knew where to go, and you didn't have to pull or yah for it. Or so, I mean, there's so many ways we can just think about these things, and how God has made it, as the title says, God's blessings. And they also provide us with luxury, so you can have a nice looking, vehicle today, with different customizations. Um, I mean, we still have, these animals still provide us with a lot of benefits, milk, food, meats, their furs, and a lot of other useful benefits come from it. But yeah, just back like to the example earlier, like if we imagine how, like we look at all the other planets and how uninhabitable they are, but like they're empty and kind of desolate, but we're very grateful to have all these things made easy for us. And then also it's very beautiful too, because you go on Mars or Mercury or something, and it's very, I don't think it's definitely not as beautiful as Earth, for sure. Um, I mean, even Jupiter, I was reading the other day, like, it's so violent on Jupiter. I mean, it's really awesome, like God's power, and this is just Jupiter, but it has, like two layers of a storm in its entire atmosphere, and then you go deeper, and then they have an ocean of like some type of metallic metal, a type of ocean, and then there's lightning, severe lightning everywhere, and thunder, like nothing like you would see on this earth. And then there's the winds, and then you keep going deeper in the amount of pressure and stuff. And God is aware, like, of all these, each lightning strike on Jupiter. I mean, this is incredible, and it doesn't just stop there. I mean, this is just Jupiter, and I mean, he's sustaining it, he's controlling it, he created it. So, this is just one little planet, um, in our solar system. Like, compared, when I say little, like compared to all the other heavenly bodies and different planets and solar systems and everything else out there in the Milky Way. And that's just our galaxy. We know there's a lot, there's billions more. He sends down from the sky water for your drink, and to grow trees for your benefit. With it, he grows for you crops, olives, date palms, grapes, and all kinds of fruits. This is sufficient proof for people who think. Yeah, it's like perfect. Everything is perfectly designed. There's not any flaws like in our foods and the way it grows and its seasons. And he commits in your service the night and the day, as well as the sun and the moon. Also, the stars are committed by his command. These are sufficient proofs for people who understand. And he created for you on earth things of various colors. This is sufficient proof for people who take heed. Yeah, I mean, how do you like even explain colors? Like, if you were telling somebody like who was blind, or somebody, like what red looks like. I mean, like, you can't really understand it until you see it, or green or blue. What if everything was in black, grayscale, like we see? You open up Photoshop or these other applications or programs, and you can grayscale things. And I mean, what if, and they could have easily been designed like that, you know, and, some might say, oh, we wouldn't have known the difference, but it was still like, now that we do know the difference. Like it's something that we could be appreciated for, because we know that it could have been like that. So these are nice ways to remember God. I mean, just these verses, all the things that are talked about. And he committed the sea to serve you and eat. Excuse me. And he committed the sea to serve you. You eat from the tender meat and extract jewelry which you wear, and you see the ships roaming it for your commercial benefits, as you seek his bounties that you may be appreciative. And he placed stabilizers, mountains on earth, lest it tumbles with you, as well as rivers and roads that you may be guided. And landmarks, as well as the stars, to be used for navigation. So apparently, everything is put in our service, as we're told in the Quran, like everything, how he's committed the sun and the moon in our service to serve us. I mean, imagine these huge entities, these huge, like a star serving the humans. I mean, we know the angels also serve us and help us in this sense, like they drive the winds and distribute these things. And this is, like, I think we covered it last study, but what it meant to prostrate. And then Satan was too arrogant to want to do this, for a creature made of lowly material, mud. But God is the most merciful for making all of these things for us. Is one who creates like one who does not create? Would you now take heed? If you count God's blessings, you cannot possibly encompass them. God is forgiver, most merciful, and God knows whatever you conceal and whatever you declare. The dead prophets and saints. As for the idols they set up beside God, they did not create anything. They do not create anything. They themselves were created, So I just want to say this. This is very important, Like, I think one of the things we can talk to people about, that that worship humans, that they themselves were created. They need their own sustenance and food. They didn't just blink themselves or just come into creation, or and plus, I mean, they're very small. Like, I mean, you put someone like Jesus next to the sun, I mean, he would just I mean, like, you wouldn't even see on the scale. And you put one of us next to the sun, I mean, we would just vaporize. So I mean, like, how great or powerful or honorable, like in the sense of setting up these people as idols, or how worthy are they to be worshipped? And the answer is not at all, because they themselves were created, and they don't even create anything, you know. So I mean, we're all helpless, and we're all at the complete mercy of our Creator. They are dead, not alive, and they have no idea how or when they will be resurrected. And so, yeah, and Jesus isn't here. He isn't sustaining, anything for anybody. Neither is Muhammad. Neither are the saints. They're not helping anybody heal, or they don't even know these people anyway. I mean, imagine that. Um, so, last verse: your God is one God. As for those who do not believe in the hereafter, their hearts are denying and they are arrogant. Um, so, yeah, I mean, people. I mean, you can see this. This is people that don't believe in God alone, or this, or don't like the idea of the hereafter, or averse to the idea of being held accountable instead of getting a get out of hell free card or something. They don't like this information. They don't like it, and so their hearts deny it, and then plus they're arrogant about it because they're so sure. Especially it's bad when you show them the proof, right? So, with this being said, if there's any comments or questions, please feel free. If I made any mistakes, may God forgive me. Thank you.
Mashallah, thank you. Much study.
Mashallah.
Yeah, mashallah, these are amazing reminders from God, especially all these verses about creation, about the creatures that God has created. Because it is important for us to think about and acknowledge all of these blessings from God as we carry out our day, like all these things that God is talking about. I mean, we see them every day, we experience them every day. We eat the food, we use all these provisions, the blessings that God's talking about day and night, and the fruits and the animals and all of that. But most people will just go about without thanking God even once, or thinking about Him even once. There's people that don't believe in God, and then that's the majority, and then the other minority that does believe in God, majority of them, as we commit idol worship. And I'm glad the Christmas thing is over, because just hate seeing that all around everybody. Um, yeah, mashallah. I'm just glad that Christmas is over. We don't have to, see things about Jesus.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's worse than previous years. Maybe.
Yeah, I almost thought like, cause like this, maybe I thought the same thing, cause I was thinking, I was like, man, maybe I don't remember telling like this many people last year, but like so many people, I guess just running about like, I'll
Mm,
get something at the like I went to Dickie's barbecue, I
mm,
think on Christmas Eve, and then like when they say Merry Christmas, like I'll just tell people like, oh, I don't. It depends
mm-hmm,
too, because you want to. Because if you just say, oh, bye, like they're gonna think
mm-hmm,
but it's like, no, I don't celebrate Christmas or whatever.
mm-hmm,
Or like mainly like for coworkers and stuff, and then they're. But yeah, like how many people like having to just tell like
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
then other I guess like if they're inviting you to idol worship or something, like you just invite them to submission right back and
mm-hmm,
tell them that what they're doing is not right, in a good manner. That way
mm-hmm,
they're more inclined to like accept
mm-hmm.
and maybe take interest.
Yeah, I think you should talk about that incident at your work.
Yeah, yeah. So mashallah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, so this was, I think, on the 22nd or 23rd. In one of the chat on Teams, one of the foremans, he's pretty high up, like he's higher than my direct boss, and but yeah, he had messaged, everybody was messaging Merry Christmas and stuff, and I was just like not reading, like I was just wasn't, but like then uh the foreman comes in and he says Merry Christmas. He says Merry Christmas, and he says I wouldn't be a good boss or Christian unless I told you that Jesus Christ is the reason, or for the we should be thankful that he was died um, for our sins. Let me actually just pull it. Uh, yeah, let me read it real quick. Where did I? Oh yeah, so he says I wouldn't be a good boss or Christian. Everybody was saying Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. He said I wouldn't be a good boss or Christian if I didn't say thank God for sending Jesus to die for us. The true meaning of Christmas. I appreciate you guys. And then somebody said amen to that, Merry Xmas. But I wanted to like, at first I was like, oh man, like I don't like, this isn't good. And then like my companion was whispering, I knew like, it says like we're you think it's from yourself, but like it's not from you, like it's just but he was saying not to say anything. And then because of this um like this isn't my direct boss, who I've also talked to about submission, I think one time before, but this is like a higher up, and uh but like I said, like God, reminding, you know, reminding myself, like, no, God controls like these people are responses. If um, they can't, uh, God is the one who hires and fires. Like He controls your wealth. Like there's nothing to be like. It's better to speak up and say something. Like if they bring it into the conversation, and this is when. But anyway, like I ended up replying, and it says, I just want to say I don't celebrate Christmas because of Nimrod origins, but I hope everyone has a safe and wonderful time off. And I believe Jesus' message was to worship God alone. All praise be to God alone. May God guide us and bless all of us because we all need it every day. So, but it's interesting because they ended up, instead of like, taking offense or anything, like, oh, how dare you? Christmas isn't pagan. And, he ended up hearting the message. So, but it also shows like, we're not supposed to, like we don't want to give Satan a claim on
Yeah.
us at all.
How did he say the first part about Jesus, about the thinking part?
He
Did
said,
he
thank
say,
God for sending Jesus to
"Oh,
die
thank you,
for us. Yeah, he
right"?
said, thank God. So, I
So
mean, they
as
believe in
so,
God.
yeah, so you should have told him like did he send himself? You're thanking
Right.
him for sending himself.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
the
like, some
the
I also thought like if, like talking, like if I don't talk to this person too much, like
mhm,
versus my direct boss, which we're still waiting to get a new one. But yeah, like it's a good thing to send, but I say half, I don't know, like some of them believe that Jesus is God in the flesh, and then others believe that, I mean, God be glorified, that was a Bilahi. And others believe that Jesus isn't God, but he's the Son of God, and he's a part. Like he's literally God divided himself. I mean, it's so
mhm.
stupid. But
Divided himself.
yeah, yeah, and then like I tell them too, and I'll open up. Well, I probably can't. I would have to look for it now. I can't remember where it exactly is, but you open up Deuteronomy, and it literally says God is indivisible. Like it says,
Mhm,
like he is one and the same. He's one God in the Old Testament, and you're like, well, why
mhm,
would? And they usually don't have an explanation most of the time. They just like say, oh well, God realized, mankind couldn't do it, and so he sent his, they it's just like the messenger said, they run
mhm,
around and do circles.
mhm.
But yeah, so that was
Yeah.
because you had asked me to share like about that.
Mhm,
That was the extent. Uh,
mhm,
but yeah, I even talked, I think, with my one of my sisters, and she actually said one of this was back in November because I was telling her about like what the Christmas tree represents and what the ornaments. And I heard
mhm,
this from another uh, Christian lady I know. Um, used to work for her husband, and she had told me she had. I don't know if she stuck to her guns, but I mean, like it's very pagan, and like more Christians I think are waking up. Uh,
mhm.
and then I told my sister about that, and she says, yeah, one of her friends like doesn't celebrate Christmas in
Mhm,
this way because of the Christmas tree, and it's all
mhm,
pagan. And then like her friend, this other lady, got in an argument. They go to the same church, a kind of heated
mhm,
argument about it. Like no, like it is definitely like pagan and the other. But my sister agreed. But I think like even like this stuff, I think most people don't. They just don't take it seriously. I think that's what it comes down to because
mhm,
you can tell they believe in it and they're given like the proof and the evidence, but they think, oh well, maybe it's not a big deal. Like it's just a celebration. It's just a tradition,
mhm,
and like uh they don't
mhm.
yeah, they don't really uh like the
Yeah, I
accountability
mean,
aspect.
exactly.
They don't.
Yeah. I mean, all these things that we read about that God talks about at length about all these blessings. Like imagine these idols have nothing to do with it, right? God is talking about, and obviously the Bible's saying the same thing. It doesn't. But yeah, I mean, when they start believing that He's God, and I mean the same with like the Mohammedans, right? I mean, they think that God created all these things for Muhammad, you know, which is so stupid.
They created he created like the animals just for Muhammad.
Everything in the universe they said is created for Muhammad
And then you
because everything revolves around their idol, just like with Jesus, everything revolves around Muhammad. They talk about Adam, they can't stop saying anything about Muhammad. They talk about Abraham, they can't help but talk about Muhammad. They talk about creation, they talk about God's attributes. They have to say Muhammad's name at the end. So it's because like God said, they can't. They're not comfortable talking about God alone. Their hearts shrink with aversion unless you mention
right.
their idols. With it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I've actually seen like that happen. Like you know, with Christians, like people, you start talking about God alone, and you leave Jesus out of it, or like you said, you leave Muhammad, and you can see their like just from their body language, both subtle and obvious signs of the body language, like it makes them uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. And even also they wanted to die at Medina, not Makkah, because yeah,
Right.
yeah, they wish always to, if they go to Medina, if they, yeah, so God will forgive them, so many things.
Yeah, I don't even remember a lot of those things. When you start hearing them praising Muhammad and they say all these ridiculous things. Yeah. Which also they're lying. They say I want to die in Medina. If someone comes after them, they're gonna run away.
mhm, right.
As fast as they can.
And Surah 15, when I read these two verses, so this verse also we have information. So actual division in religion actually, the anything beside Quran, so God said 1990 we will deal with the dividers, and God mentioned next who are those dividers. They accept the Quran only partially. So division actually start from Quran, not that's my the understanding.